Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How are you?
Good. What are you up to today? Just interviews?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for willing to do this.
Thank you.
So I kind of didn't want to like ask you all the same things you'd probably been asked before. I know I did see that in terms of acting that you said that you got inspired by being on a Scooby-Doo movie set.
Yeah. Back when I was about 9 years old, our next door neighbors were or are producers, and they were working on the Scooby Doo set, and that's kind of where it all started. Was stepping onto set and kind of seeing how everything works. At the time, I wanted to be a director, and I was kind of told that no, you should be an actress, and so that's where I am, and that's what I'm doing. But I'm definitely curious about stepping into the directing chair at one point in my career.
Mhm. And so, what was the any kind of first paid job that you had in entertainment in general?
In entertainment in general, I started out as a hoop dancer.
Right.
And so my first like real paid gig was with MAC Cosmetics. And I was able to do some hoop dancing for them in their store. I had to wear this crazy like spandex onesie, like a Cirque du Soleil type thing. And I was just like hula hooping at the mall. I think it was like in Holt Renfrew
Okay.
in Vancouver. So that was the first time I had ever like gotten paid to really do what I love.
And was there ever, or if there still is, aspiration for you to move to LA?
Oh yeah, there's kind of always that aspiration, and eventually I hope to have a place in LA and be there kind of 50% of the time. And at this point, I would love, my goal is to get a trailer, and so that I'm able to kind of take that onto set and travel wherever I want. COVID definitely inspired that, and so I have the truck now. I just have to get my trailer.
So, what was the timeline of when you was your first acting job on Lucifer?
I think that was my first acting job, and it was so embarrassing. I thought about like when I signed with a new agent, I was like, should I like rename my name because everybody's gonna like hold this against me like for the rest of my acting career? And he's like, no, nobody's gonna remember it. Like nobody's even gonna know. And then of course they named my character Barfing Girl. And it's funny because like I don't know if you've seen the episode or not, but like I'm literally like I have like a moment with the main character and we're at a party and then I like puke into a bush and he's like, oh, and that's kind of like where things turn south. And then I was on the red carpet for the Twilight Zone, and I remember this interviewer, and he's like, "So, how does it feel to go from barfing girl to like play one of the leads in the Twilight Zone?" And I was like, "Yeah, I definitely have a feeling that like nobody's gonna let this one go." That's okay. I'm over it now.
Yeah, well, I guess it probably would have been after Twilight Zone when you got to be in Tribal.
Yeah, yeah. Travel was a good experience, and it's funny because like as soon as I booked the Twilight Zone, I've been playing characters in uniform like ever since then, and which is great. I mean, I don't mind playing characters in uniform, but it seems like I'm kind of being a little bit typecast in
Mhm.
a sense. Luckily, I like playing those types of characters, but my goal eventually is to hopefully branch out a little bit and even play the villain. And like that's one of my goals is to play the villain.
Mhm. Do you think so far that you have a personal preference for darker roles opposed to comedic or lighter roles?
Oh yeah, for sure. For whatever reason, like um in real life, like I feel like I'm really bubbly and I'm really friendly. But when I'm acting, it's my comfort zone to be more to be playing like the darker roles or like more like stoic characters. I feel like that's kind of like my comfort blanket. So whenever I have to branch out and be like a flirty girl or something, I had to play kind of a flirty paramedic in Hudson and Rex.
Yeah.
So that was different. I really had to like that. I was definitely out of my comfort zone in that. But it was also really fun to play because it's always just nice to branch out a little bit and test my acting skills here and there. So that was a good opportunity for that.
Has there been any significant case so far where you've been like really daunted or starstruck in terms of who you've worked alongside of?
I think that everybody on set was starstruck, but I wasn't when I was working with Stephen
Okay.
Young
Yeah.
and Greg Kinnear on the Twilight Zone. And I more so was like, whoa, like I'm acting with Greg Kinnear. And everyone was like just like going nuts that I was acting with Stephen Young. And I knew him from Lost and stuff, but I never watched The Walking Dead. And so I think everyone, all the extras and everyone, they were just like losing their minds over Stephen Young. And I was just like, he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's been fun. Both of them were really awesome and super nice to work with.
And I did think it was especially interesting that you got to do stunts on Midnight Mass.
Yeah, yeah. That was the first time I like had officially stepped into doing stunt work on camera, and it was. I actually haven't seen that episode yet,
Oh,
um, but I've had a lot of my or like a lot of my followers are like, "Hey, did I see you in Midnight Mass?" And I'm like, yes. In like a crazy scene. Have you seen it?
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, the scene is nuts. I still haven't seen it, but to film it was like a lot. There was a lot going on. So many people in such close quarters, and like to do everything as if it was like to really sell the shot. There had to be like a level of chaos that was like real.
Mhm.
And it was yeah, it was fun. It was kind of I would say it was like it was shot in a really interesting way, and we had to run through. I think we did like a week. I think that was a week of work in total just for that one scene.
Wow.
Um, it was a lot of planning, a lot of preparation for that.
Did you
'Cause,
did you normally audition for to have a part in that as well, or was it always to do stunts?
no, I think I may have auditioned for it, but the way I got it was just on my like through my Instagram
Oh,
because one of the stunt coordinators, I guess, had been following me for a while, and they wanted an Indigenous stunt person on set with them, and they wanted to diversify their crew a little bit. And so they reached out to me and asked me if I was interested. And of course, I was super stoked too. And it was in the middle of COVID. So it was just a really nice opportunity to get out and work again.
mhm. And did you get to interact much with the cast?
Not with the cast, not as much on that set. It was so strange because before that, I have always been like the main character or like one of like the top, one of the leads.
Right.
And then to go to being like to go in a sense backwards and like work as like an extra, as
Hmm.
a stunt performer, but an extra basically was interesting to see like just how different you get treated on set. I mean, I feel like I was treated quite well from the stunt coordinators and everyone, but like you're just not like as an actress, you're very doted on. Like everybody, there's like usually five people that is asking you like, "Can I get you water? Like, are you cold?" And like, like here's my jacket.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting, like to be like more behind the scenes. I got out of the van, and I'm used to someone like showing you where to go, and there was nobody like showing me where to go, and I was like where do I go? What do I do? And then I realized like wow, I'm so lucky as an actress to get to experience that, but it's made me realize like I can't take that kind of treatment for granted and just enjoy it like when it comes my way.
Mhm. And with all the more darker projects that you've been a part of so far, were you or are you like a fan of horror and before that?
I would say I love like thriller and sci-fi series. I have never really been a huge fan of horror. When I was younger, I loved it, but then I have really vivid dreams.
Okay.
And so if I watch something like I'll dream about it like years later. I think like the last horror movie before this I watched was Hostel, and I watched that like 10 years ago, and I had a nightmare about it like a couple of years ago. And so like it'll stick with me for like ever. So I try not to watch too much horror because I have really vivid dreams. Ever since filming this, it's given me a new perspective on it. And before I would normally like close my eyes or at like scary scenes and stuff. But now I'm more so interested in like how did they get that shot and like how did they make it look so real? Uh,
Mhm.
so it's kind of like it's helped me like face my fears in a sense.
Mhm. And so how did you personally become involved with Ditched and getting the role, like getting the lead role?
I was on my way back from between Vancouver and back home here in Canmore, Alberta, and which is like a 10-hour drive. I had been driving for about 3 or 4 hours, and I still had six to go. And my agent called me, and he's like, "Hey," I think it was like 8 or 9 at night, and he's like, "Hey, can you read this script? You have an offer on this role on the main character. If you want it, you can have it." Basically, they're saying, but we need to know by tonight. And I was like, okay. And so I just pulled over, got a hotel, and read the like 90-page script. And I was like, yes, I'll do this. Of course, I'll do this. And it was a really good opportunity to play an Indigenous woman in a modern role,
Yeah.
and where it's not set like 100 years ago. And I'm playing like the classic stoic Indian because that seems to be what Hollywood likes to portray us as.
Right.
So it was nice to kind of diversify and play an Indigenous woman as a lead character in a feature film.
And what was anything like creepy about shooting it? Like the experience?
Um, I feel like since because I've wanted to be an actress for the majority of my life. I remember being a child and just and filming movies, but always wishing that we had better costumes and props and stuff. And so, whenever I have the chance to step on set, it's just like it brings out the kid in me. Like I'm just so pumped to have like real props and like costumes that like actually look real. And it just makes me, it brings out like that little kid in me. And I'm just like so stoked to be on set all the time. And I could work for hours and tirelessly because it's just, it gives me energy whenever I'm on set. And I think that even though it was set as like it's a darker storyline, it is a
Mhm.
dark storyline. I just had so much fun filming the whole thing. I just love seeing, I love watching people who are passionate do what they love
Mhm.
and make money doing what they love. Because that's the great thing about this industry is like we get paid to do what we love. And it's just so fun to be on set and be surrounded by people who are all making money doing what they love. And we're just able to collaborate and have fun. So I always focus on that. And I kind of just dwell in like just how much fun it is to film movies.
Mhm. And do you think it's probably obvious, but do you think that that's probably the single darkest headspace you've had to go for a role so far?
Definitely. Yeah. I think that eventually when I have the opportunity to play a villain, I think that that'll be like on another level. But yeah, I would say so. But ever since Ditched came out, I actually filmed another movie called Finality of Dusk.
Okay.
And that is like a post apocalyptic film, um, and like a survival kind of post apocalyptic film. And so my character was one of the last people standing on Earth. And so it That was, I think, potentially even darker than this one in a sense of like what happens in the plot to characters that are very close to her.
Okay.
Um, so there was more crying in that movie that's coming up, and not to spoil anything, but so that should be coming out in the next year or two. And I would say that those are kind of go hand in hand with like the darkness and like having to go to those places. When I am acting, I try and leave everything on the table.
Yep.
And if I feel like I'm bringing anything home, it's usually because like I didn't get it all out, and that's when I'm wishing I did something different or did it this way or that way. I find that if anything, like to me, I use acting more so like as therapy,
Hmm.
and it's like more so healing than it is anything else.
Which scene do you think was the hardest for you to do?
Which for ditched, I would say probably the first scene, waking up in the ambulance, was probably the most challenging. It was the first scene that we had filmed in general. So the crew, the cast and crew, we were all just getting to know each other, and I had just come out of hair and makeup and right into that scene, and it was yeah, it was a challenging scene, but it was also really fun as well. And I
Mhm.
had rehearsed it a lot and went over it with my acting coaches and stuff too. So I was, I feel like I'm lucky to always be confident in front of the camera. I'm really lucky in that sense. Coming out of acting school, I was always scared that I was going to be like scared of the cameras, or scared of having eyes on me. But luckily, I think as a performer, um, a hoop dancer, and an influencer and everything that I do, I think that's really helped me just kind of be numb to like having all eyes on me. So it's my nerves never come from that sense. It more so comes from just wanting to do my best work
Mm.
and putting that pressure on myself.
And considering your answer with the climax of Ditched when things get really wild, was that not as difficult for you to step into that headspace then?
I feel like am whenever I'm working on a character, I try and have something that that character like do something or say something to myself that helps me get into the zone right before we shoot. So because everyone knows this industry is hurry up and wait,
Yep.
it's hard to go between takes sometimes because there's a lot of waiting and talking and just a lot going on set. And so I try and always have something in my mind or some like physical action that is going to like help me jump into character. And sometimes it's like starting to breathe heavy and like deeper as if I'm like getting that anxiety going, and that was like more so what I used for with this role, is like try and get into the mindset of like just how scary this would be, and like so I really worked on my breathing for this role.
Hmm. And when you first saw how things unfold when you were reading the script, what was your reaction?
I definitely at the end of the script, um I I had a chuckle, that's for sure. And I think that it's just so unexpected. And it's such a turn. Like most people would not expect something like that to happen at the end. And yeah, I'm just excited for what the viewers have to say about it. And it comes out tomorrow. So I guess we'll see.
This might be another obvious question too, but do you think that Melina deserves what happened to her?
Hmm. I would like to think not.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a feeling that that she may have done something in her past. So yeah, I'm excited. I really hope that Like there were talks about like maybe a prequel or something along those lines. And so I'm hoping that that Chris and Mark think more about it, and hopefully there's some more to the story that we can take home.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely threw me off, and obviously you did a amazing job in that.
Thank you. I
So
really
is
appreciate that. Yeah, it's hard as an actor. Like you never really know if you do a good job because everything that I watch is cringy.
yeah.
It's so hard for me to watch myself on camera. My friends were just asking me like, "Hey, do you want to like come over and watch your movie tomorrow?" And I'm like, "No." Like, does that sound bad? Like, I'm like, I've seen it, and it's like every time I watch myself on camera, it's just like so hard to watch. Just because I'm so critical of myself, and I know a lot of actors don't even watch their work. But I try and watch it at least once so that I'm able to kind of see what I could do better for the next time. So I probably will go and watch it with my friends, but I always just end up laughing at myself because it's just so funny seeing yourself on camera. It's like listening to your voice on the voicemail.
Yeah. Well, is there a single particular scene or scenes in Ditch that you are proud of?
Yeah, I'd say I'm proud of it in general.
Okay.
Um, and I think that I'm proud of the whole production and everything, how it came out. I'm super proud of the whole production and really everything that I've acted in. I'm proud of, but it doesn't take away from just how hard it is to watch yourself on camera
Great.
as an actor. There's the one scene that was really fun to film was the one that's in the trailer where I have the big rock.
Yeah.
And that one was really fun. We filmed that at like I think it could have been like 6 or 7 in the morning, and we had filmed all night, and we were waiting for the daylight to come up. And so that was really fun. That was like a good opportunity for me to kind of just let go of what I look like on camera. And that's kind of what I've had to do like throughout this whole film is and stepping into horror is like really just like letting go and like not worrying about like how the lighting is or like how you look, and like more so just focus on telling the story.
Mhm.
um, and as an actor, I think that that's the most important thing is to be able to tell the story and do it justice. So that was a really cool opportunity to kind of step out of my comfort zone and like just scream like I never have on camera. Like I will always remember Chris's reaction to that one take that he ended up using. He was like, "Yeah, yeah, we got it," and or something along those lines. And like it was just so much fun to work with him. He was just always so sure that like we got it. Yeah, it was a really fun experience in all really.
Or speaking about in the topic of special effects, how was doing your death scene? Like how was that pulled off?
Oh, that was really like, I don't know. It tripped me up a little bit, like seeing my character, like the dummy,
Yeah.
and then seeing the death scene, yeah, like with all the special effects and everything after it came together, that was pretty surreal. I told my mom is like, I'm not watching it. Like I can't watch it. And I'm like, yes, you definitely cannot watch the end part, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah, it's not the first time I've like died on camera. So I'm kind of starting to get used to that. It's just kind of part of the job. It's a weird part of the job though.
So is there anything else that's upcoming that you can safely talk about, or
Yeah, I am stepping into the producing world and producing my first documentary called What's Next on Canada's Red Path to Reconciliation in regards to everything that's happening in the Indigenous community right now around the residential schools and the discoveries of all the children's bodies that have been found on the Indian residential school grounds.
Okay.
And my goal is to speak with as many community members, Indigenous influencers, and community leaders, and get their opinion on how can we Canadians as a nation move forward in the best way possible, and how can non-Indigenous people do what they can to help support, and how can we come together through all this, and what do we need to see in order for that to happen. Hopefully that'll be out in September.
Okay. Yeah, and I know, of course, your career is still blossoming, but my final question with people is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a really great question. Nobody's actually ever asked me that, but that's cool. I think that I would want my legacy to be to just enjoy life, and to encourage anyone to do what they love and find a way to make a living doing it. Just enjoy your life and every moment of it. There's so much beauty in every moment, and there's two sides to the coin. There's always good and there's always bad to every situation, and it's your choice to look at either one of those as good or bad. And I think that the hard times in our life just make the story that much better. And I think that once we get through those times, it equips us to help others push through hard times. And at the end of the day, I mean, everyone loves a good comeback story.
And is there anything that you would specifically want to say to other Indigenous people that want to pursue acting that might be afraid? Or
I think that, and what I've been learning recently is action cures fear.
Yep.
And the more we give into fear, the stronger it gets. And the more we are holding back and putting it off and postponing things, the bigger that fear gets, and the more powerful it gets, and the more we feed that, the bigger it gets. But once we start to move forward, we start to gain confidence. Every industry has its challenges, and life in general has its challenges. But facing fear and having courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving in the face of fear. And so although you may be scared, or anyone listening may be scared to move forward or have insecurities or doubts, the sooner you move forward and take that first step towards your goals, the better you're going to feel, the more confidence you're going to have. And that's really what it takes in this industry, is moving in the face of fear, and having that courage.
Well, thank you. This was very insightful.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Have a good one, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, you as well.
See you.